And welcome back to the show. Now, let's get one thing straight. Menopause isn't a decline. It's a change, but it's not a decline. But yet we're constantly sold transformation through quick fixes, magic supplements, all telling us, we're going to get better hair, better skin, we'll be able to lose weight. But I believe true transformation goes a lot deeper than this. And to help us go deeper today, I am joined by an award-winning nutritional therapist and esthetician of 30 years experience in the health and wellness industry. She's also #1 best-selling author of her book, Have a Magnificent Menopause. Also released a new publication called the Meno Massage Method. And she's also the creator of the popular 21-day reboot and reset program. Welcome to the show, Alison Bladh. Hello, Alison.
Thank you so much for having me, Julie. It's a pleasure to be here today talking to you.
Well, I'm really excited because, like I said, this is just a really hot topic right now, isn't it? Everyone is talking menopause.
Yes.
I don't believe that. Majority of people who are talking about it, they're kind of jumping on it. It's a good money maker at the moment. That's my cynical head coming in. But this can be a real problem for women. And there's so many symptoms and so many issues we all go through. Some go through a tougher time than others. But what we want to do is really get into women understanding what's going on with them and how to truly make this transformation and reduce the symptoms and just have a better go through this experience, because that's what it is, but you do come out the other side. And obviously we can look at, because it's more than just about sort of mood swings and all this kind of thing and weight gain, and how, like I say, it affects our aesthetics are quite important to us as women. And we do struggle with it. I've struggled with the old aging process and weight gain and everything. So I'm, into my health and fitness. So that was one thing that really I found difficult. But before we get into all of this, and sort of we'll get into your book as well, because I know I want to talk about your books a little bit later on and how you actually help your clients. But what actually got you on this journey? I mean, obviously you've been in the industry a long time, but what got you into this specific journey when it comes to menopause and all things associated with it?
Yes. Long story short, as a teenager, I had acne. So I had very bad skin as a teenager. And I mean, it's hard enough being a teenager as it is, isn't it, without having acne? And that triggered my love and interest for hormones. Because even when I look back now, I'm quite impressed with myself that I wanted to know why my skin was doing this. And was it something that I was eating? Was it something I was doing? Could I do anything? So, even at that young age, I managed to figure out that it wasn't very good to eat loads of sugar, and all of those things, which I stopped, eating these things. And I saw a huge difference in my skin. So that was really the beginning of this. It really, what you eat and what you do has a huge effect on your overall well-being. So that's when I trained to be a beauty therapist and esthetician. And I focused particularly on women's health, hormonal skin health. And with doing that, I attracted a lot of women that were in perimenopause and menopause. And, I trained when I was 18, 19 years old. And I can remember not really, we don't talk so much about menopause now, but then nobody spoke about it. So I started researching and thinking, okay, what actually is going on with hormones and skin? So I've always had this real interest in hormones and how that affects us as women. And I also saw my mother, all her friends going through this transition, and nobody spoke about it, and they were really suffering. They didn't get any help from, the medical profession. It was just very much, you just get on with it. It was, in a way, it was a subject that nobody spoke about. It was kind of shrouded with negativity. So I've made it my mission to get the knowledge out there to women that there is so much that you can do, and you really do not need to suffer.
Well, this is the thing we do, and I do wonder as well, because I must admit, I've sort of, I didn't go on any supplements or anything with mine. I just decided I was going to ride the storm. So I am one of these people for myself anyway. It is a kind of, it's not a permanent thing. I'm going to get through it. I'll just deal with it. So all the hot flashes, all the sleepless nights, weight gain, I just thought it's just something I have to go through. But is this something that maybe like say from our generation, it's kind of, we're brought up to think, well, it's just like no one talked about it. So you didn't really fully understand. So of course, when it hits, you don't know really what's going on with you. And it can psychologically can have quite a sort of, what's the word? It's a difficult time to go through. I can't think of the right word at the moment.
Yes. I mean, it can be terrible. I mean, I work one-on-one with women daily that are really, really suffering. I mean, by the time they come to me, they've been to the doctor, they've tried all those other things. And I'm a nutritionalist as well, which I focus particularly on hormonal health and women's health. So the lack of knowledge is one thing, but a lot of women they don't put it down to menopause or perimenopause. They put it down to life, stress, too much to do, the career, the family, everything that you need to do on a daily basis can become overwhelming. But when you add menopause into that mixture, it can just be, too much for you. Because what we need to understand is that estrogen and progesterone, which are the hormones that decline when we go through the menopause transition, they are really important for virtually every bodily system. We tend to think of them as sex hormones, which obviously they are, but they are so much more. And that this is something that we've really started to understand with research. And when we have this fluctuation in hormones, it affects the brain. It affects, areas that help to regulate stress, that help to regulate mood, sleep, temperature control. So, all of a sudden you can be feeling terrible because of the decline in these hormones, but you don't put it down to, there's very few people or women that put it down to the menopause. I know, particularly in the UK, that there has been a bit of menopause revolution going on there, hasn't there? And there is a lot more information, which is fantastic, but it isn't like that in many parts of the world. That is still, not, I work globally and I see that so often that in some areas it just isn't spoken about at all.
I mean, is this where it's got to start? Has it got to start with this having more of a conversation and getting this out in the world and saying, look, you need to be aware of this? Because obviously for some women it could be feel quite a destructive thing. Or do we need to start with looking at the biology first of all? I mean, when women come to you, is it kind of a shock to the system? It's almost like you're going through all these changes and then they suddenly wake up and think, oh, well, it's my age, so maybe that's where I'm starting with perimenopause or I'm in full menopause now. Something that's a gradual thing. It's not like an overnight suddenly wake up call.
No, it is a gradual thing, and it's a very different experience for every woman. I mean, some women just glide through it, but don't really have any symptoms, and that's that. And then some women can really, really struggle. So it is a very individual experience, but it isn't something that all of a sudden you just like one day think, oh, I feel terrible, I'm having loads of hot flushes and everything's. It creeps up on you gradually, because perimenopause, which is the first stage of the menopause transition, on average starts around the age of 45, but that's very individual. Quite a few women start to kind of notice the odd symptom creeping in there, in their early 40s.
Yeah.
And this goes on average, menopause starts at the age of 51. But again, it can go on for many years after that. So it's a very individual experience. And I think that so many women, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we're, just as you were saying earlier, Julia, that the aesthetics, you notice in your skin, you notice in your hair and your nails, and we still want, it's difficult to accept that, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we're being really honest with ourselves.
Well, I wonder if that's probably one of the most challenging things, because obviously we're brought up, or certainly I hope the younger generation will do things differently. It's kind of your look as a woman was so important. So when things start to go a bit pear-shaped from your mid-40s onwards, especially after 50. I mean, I noticed for myself a big change after 50. There was a drop-off. And it's like you're so preoccupied with having to look a certain way and have a certain, physique or whatever. And that's difficult to, take on board. I think you start to look, the skin's going a little bit and your waist is expanding. So is it mainly the aesthetics that most women are concerned about, or is it sort of the health issues, the health aspects that women are more concerned with?
I tend to see the clients that it's both. But I think that because some women do feel terrible, they put weight on, they've got no energy, they're having all these hot flushes, they can't sleep because they get night sweats. It's like a vicious circle.
Yeah.
So I think those sort of symptoms are really what they focus on the most. But then, the aesthetic side of it creeps in, doesn't it? And it knocks your self-confidence. So if you're not sleeping, you've put a bit of weight on, you're having hot flushes throughout the day, and then you suddenly start saying, oh, my skin, what's going on? And my hair's falling out. It just really knocks your self-confidence.
Well, I often think the hair falling out is probably one of the big, I mean, I started losing, not chunks of it, but I noticed I was losing a lot of hair. But some women do have extraordinary hair loss with things like this, and that is psychologically really devastating.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it's really, really knocks your self-confidence and everything. But what I say to people, you don't have to do this alone. That there is now a lot of very good practitioners and people out there that work, with evidence-based advice. So if you are really suffering, please get help, because there is so many things you can do. You really don't need to suffer anymore. We've got the knowledge there. We understand, what you need to do to feel better. So you really don't need to suffer.
Yeah. I mean, is it really more about sort of lifestyle changes that can make the difference? I do wonder, keep talking about myself, but I'm an example. I mean, I've always been into my health and fitness. So I've always taken a great deal of pride and prioritized that quite well. And I wonder if that is what sort of helped me get through. And I just wonder if how important is having a healthier, goes back to what we're talking about, nutrition, which we can go into a little bit more detail, the importance of nutrition, the importance of exercise, managing things like stress, which isn't always easy. Particularly these days, there's a lot of stress and pressure around. And I just wonder, does that play the biggest part in helping you cope going through this season of your life?
Yeah, it's really, there's so many pieces to it. And unfortunately, you can't just do one of them. What happens as you age as a woman, you get to a point where you just have to start looking after yourself. You can't get away with what you did when you were in your 20s and 30s. Your body's very resilient, isn't it? When you're young, you can go out late, you can maybe have a few glasses of wine or, stay out late and party. And you kind of, the next day, you might feel a bit tired, but you bounce back. Whereas you don't. When you're in menopause, you just feel exhausted. And that mindset of thinking, no, I could do this when I'm in my 20s. Unfortunately, you have to look after yourself better, and putting all the pieces together, like thinking about how, you live your daily life, your lifestyle. Do you incorporate exercise? Do you do some sort of movement on a daily basis? What am I actually eating? Am I eating things that are nourishing my body or just causing stress on my body? Looking at all the pieces. And then you've got hormone replacement therapy in there as well, which is one of the pieces. But you can't just do one of them. You need to look after yourself holistically, on a daily basis. But it doesn't have to be difficult. We're not talking about hours of self-care.
Yeah.
It's just being mindful and doing things that really help and nourish your body.
It's kind of having to change your behaviors and habits. You have to change everything from like, okay, well, maybe, I think it's being connected with your body in a way. So you're paying attention to the effects everything you're doing is having on your body. So say, for instance, this brings us back to what we want to talk about nutrition and things like that. But say alcohol, for instance, causes a big problem in terms of sleep. You cut going back to being able to drink. It's not saying that you have to give up drink or alcohol if you like the odd glass of wine, but that is going to have an effect. And so do you need to cut down on those kinds of things? And then the foods, some foods might mean you're feeling more bloated, or obviously that they're going to, as you're getting older, your metabolism's also slowing down and all these things, as well as the change in hormones. And you spoke earlier about estrogen, progesterone, but also with less estrogen, if I'm correct, then you get an increase in cortisol. So you're getting more stress placed on your body through lack of sleep. Maybe eating the wrong things, which is putting more stress on your body. Even if you're trying to exercise, if you're over-exercising, you're trying to compensate everything by exercising too much. You're putting stress on your body, which is raising those cortisol. It is like a vicious circle.
Yeah, totally. And, that you've described that really well. You think, I see that all the time. I myself, I'm in menopause, I'm experiencing myself, but you can over exercise when you're in menopause and make yourself feel terrible. You won't get the same results from exercise as you did when you were younger. Going and doing like huge, intense workouts at night after work are going to just shoot your cortisol levels up.
Yeah.
And stop you sleeping and fat storage and all of those things. And this has actually been shown in research. And it's not that you need to stop exercising. It's just the sort of exercise that you do, depending on, how you're experiencing menopause as well. And then nutrition, absolutely. There's so many things that you can do with nutrition. And it's really thinking about nourishing your body. Sugar. I know we talk about sugar all the time, that sugar actually has no nutritional value.
But we tend to crave sugar.
Yeah, because your brain knows it's a very quick form of energy. And your brain is very clever. Your body is very clever. All your body wants to do is survive and create homeostasis. And it knows that if you eat sugar, that can be refined carbohydrates, that can be digested very quickly and go out into the bloodstream and give you energy, glucose. It knows that. So that's why it kind of leads you on to the biscuit tin rather than, a broccoli salad, which is obviously would be more beneficial, because this quick energy boost where your blood sugar shoots up, your blood sugar will also crash quite quickly, and that will make you feel tired. It make you feel anxious. It'll make you crave sugar again. So you'll be back at the biscuit tin, and you come into this roller coaster ride. And what happens during menopause is that because you haven't got your hormones, or you've got declining hormones, you're more vulnerable to what we call insulin resistance. And this is where, the next stage on from that is diabetes too. So you really have to think about what you're eating. And I very much work on the philosophy that it's not about taking away things, it's about adding in. Make sure that your plate is full of colourful vegetables, whole grains, protein and healthy fats. If you've got those delicious foods on there, there isn't any room for any processed, ultra processed, refined foods. It doesn't need to be complicated. It's not that you need a specific menopause diet. If you, for example, the Mediterranean style way of eating has been shown in many different research papers. It's a very sustainable, great way to eat, because you're eating whole foods, you're eating nuts and seeds, you're eating healthy fats, you're eating protein, very little sugar. They do eat red meat, but not that often. It's more fish and seafood, poultry, and whole grains and whole foods. None of these packaged foods with 30, 40 different ingredients on that. We weren't, as human beings, we weren't meant to eat those sort of, we're hunters and gatherers.
Well, that's it. And back then everything was natural. So now everything is, not necessarily, you don't necessarily eating ultra processed food. You can still have fresh food, but it's not, I wonder, would you say that even in our fresh produce, a lot of the nutrients of through transportation across the world, we're not sort of eating seasonally and locally, that we're losing some of the important nutrients from food as well, which even though you're buying fresh, maybe it's not as rich in vitamins and minerals that we need.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, we've depleted our soils as well from nutrients. So, the natural way when a vegetable or a plant would grow that we would eat would have all these nutrients, and it would come from the soil. Whereas, we've depleted our soil. So even if you're eating, a whole food, it doesn't have the nutritional value that it had years ago. And we're also, if you think of how many crops are produced a year, it's all about getting as much as possible, isn't it? And unfortunately, money,
and how you
rather than something growing slower and having more of a rich nutritional value. So and then you've got the discussion about how we spray crops and all of that piece that comes in, which obviously isn't good, because we do consume some of that unless you're eating organic foods. But even organic, some of them are sprayed. There's restrictions, of course, but it's very difficult to get away from that completely unless you have your own vegetable patch.
So then of course you're going on to sort of nutritional supplements as well, aren't you? What should people be taking in terms of supplementation? There's so many. I've seen them recently on social media, and they look fantastic the way they're sold to you. They look at your skin and everything, and they're saying, just take these, and they're super expensive supplements. In a couple of months, you'll lose your belly fat, and you've got all these women looking with really toned and lean abs and everything. Is that really possible to do with just a supplement?
In my opinion, not as a nutritionist that works science-based. There is a place for supplements, and I use supplements with my clients, but not food first is my philosophy. And if you just randomly take supplements because you've seen it on television or you've seen it on social media, and like you say, Julia, they're very clever, aren't they? At make you think, look at that.
It's going to give you back your collagen, and you're going to you get your jawline back. And I think, can supplement actually do that?
Yeah, they're very good. They really do draw you in there.
You are. I've almost got the credit card.
Yeah, I can really understand that. They're very good at it. But what I always think is, okay, where's the research to back this up? Do they have any research to actually say that this product does what it says it does? Because sometimes if something's too good to be true, it normally is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But supplements, if someone is deficient, rather than just taking loads of supplements, go and have a blood test done and see what you're deficient in.
Yeah.
Because one, it costs a lot to take supplements. And two, if you're just taking a lot of supplements for no reason, it also can put quite a lot of stress on your liver.
Yeah.
It has to manage all these supplements that you eat. We were meant as humans to eat like our vitamins and minerals, like encapsulated in food. Like if you think of an orange, you've got all the fiber, you've got the fruit there, and then you've got the vitamin C. it's absorbed into the body with, you've got all the fibre, you've got the whole fruit there. It's not just one single pill with vitamin C, and you get all the other benefits of it. But like I say, there absolutely is a place for supplements. What I would say to people is, when you buy supplements, make sure that they don't interact with any medication that you're taking, because that can be problematic, and buy a good quality supplement, because that is crucial. A lot of supplements that you see on the market aren't in the right form for your body to absorb.
So what would you suggest to women then who are looking at, okay, I want to have a better diet, I want to start feeling better in myself? What would you say in terms of nutrition and in terms of supplementation? I know it's generalizing, everyone's different and we all need our own specific things. But if we generalize for most people, what would you say are the important things that people need to be putting on their plate and taking in terms of supplementation?
Well, if we talk about what you should put on your plate, I mean, you need to keep it simple, but fill half your plate with vegetables and salads and colour. If you can get as much colour and much vegetables and salads and everything on half of your plate, if you fill up half of that, that's fantastic. That's a brilliant start. We as women need fibre. We don't tend to eat enough fibre, and fibre is crucial for many things. But one thing, it helps to eliminate used estrogens in the body. It keeps everything moving. And if you find that your digestive system is slow, you maybe suffer from constipation, that's not good. We want to keep it all moving nicely. Things like the cruciferous vegetables are wonderful for women's health, like cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, because they really help to get things moving. That half of your plate can be full of all these different vegetables that you like. You could put a bit of olive oil over them. Olive oil is just amazing. Olive oil. You could do a whole podcast on just on the benefits of olive oil. It's so.
Come back and we'll talk about olive oil.
Olive oil is amazing, but always buy cold pressed virgin and preferably organic. But it's very important that it's cold pressed, because it means it's a better quality and virgin olive oil. So you've got half your plate, you've got your vegetables on there, the vegetables that you like, and then at least a quarter of your plate protein, of roughly like a palm size of your hand. That can be up to you, whatever you like. Things like chicken, fish, meat. If you don't eat animal products, you've got soya, you've got beans, nuts and seeds. Protein is crucial, because that's the building blocks of the body. And as we go through menopause, we tend to lose muscle mass as well as women. So we really need to make sure that we're eating enough protein and also lifting weights. And then the other quarter of the plate, you can have like whole grains. So things like brown rice, quinoa, if you like pasta, whole grain pasta, get rid of all the white stuff, the refined. Everything should be more whole grain, more brown in colour. And then you've got your healthy fats, olive oil, avocados, nuts and seeds, good old fashioned butter. You can cook with coconut oil, which is very good because that's got quite a high, what they call burn point. So it's very good if you're frying things. It doesn't damage the oil if it gets too hot. So that's it, really. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that.
I mean, some people worry about things like butter, don't they? But actually, it's natural as opposed to margarine. And I wouldn't touch margarine with a barge pole.
But it's not everything in moderation, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you think, I'm not going to be eating loads of butter. Yeah. I can just have like a teaspoonful.
Yeah. And what's your view on fasting during menopause, like, intermittent fasting, things like that?
I get asked that quite a lot. And it, again, is something that I see it's very dependent on the person. Some women it works really well for, and some women it doesn't. It's very individual, but it can be beneficial, particularly for weight management. And also I've seen women that have found that it's really given them like a lot of energy, like boost their energy, but doing it in a way that it's, you're not fasting for 3 or 4 days. It's more time restricted eating. So I have clients like, for example, that skip breakfast, so that the first meal of their day would be maybe like 11:30, 12 o'clock. So, and then they would have lunch and then maybe a snack in the afternoon and then dinner, and stop eating around 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening. And then there's actually quite a few hours that you're fasting. Fasting has a lot of benefits on the body. It gives our body chance to just rest. We weren't meant to be constantly consuming things. Our digestive tract actually really likes it. when we stop eating, because it gives it chance to kind of do a bit of house cleaning and get rid of all the rubbish and sort things out. There's a process called autophagy that happens when this tends to happen. You need to go into a slightly longer fast, at least 16 hours. And it's kind of where it gets rid of all the, the cells, the old cells. It cleans everything up, which is fantastic for the digestive system. It can help to regulate blood sugar. So there's many benefits. But what I've seen particularly with women in menopause or perimenopause, that it can just be a bit too much and it can push the cortisol levels up. It doesn't, you don't want to put that extra stress on the body.
Yeah.
So it works brilliantly for some people and then it doesn't for others. So I think you really have to just try it maybe for a few days and see how you
guess
feel.
you could ease yourself into it. So if you're having you're used to, say, a 3 meal a day and you're snacking in between, maybe go without the snacks and then maybe you can break that down to maybe 2 meals a day. So like you say, a late morning and then an early evening and then don't eat anything. So I guess you could do it that way and adjust your body if you're used to consuming a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Do what works for you. And if you find, some people say, I have to have breakfast, I can't not, then you could have breakfast, have lunch, and then maybe have a really early dinner. Stop eating at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Do what works for you. The aim is to have a period of time where you don't eat anything to give your body a rest.
And I think the key as well, if you're eating and too late, because it's certainly something that's affected me. I can't eat too late, particularly a heavy meal. I can't go out and eat a heavy meal. That affects your sleep. And then if sleep's affected, you're then probably feeling more inclined to go for the sugary bad food the next day just to get your energy to get through your day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been proven that if you don't sleep well and you're tired, your body craves carbohydrates because it needs energy.
And moving on to, I want to talk to you about HRT as well. I didn't go on HRT at all, but I know people who've gone. Some have had the patches and they swear by it. I didn't want to go down that route. I know it's changed a lot, but is it really, I always have this feeling if you're going to go on it, you need to go on it and stay on it. You can't go on it and come off it. Are there any sort of negative effects to being on HRT, or should women really be going, if they're really struggling, going down that route of HRT?
Obviously I'm not a doctor. So, you would need to talk to your doctor about HRT. And I think with HRT, it's a very individual choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think what you need to do is get all the information in front of you of what is available. What can I do to support my health during this transition, and talk to your doctor about it, because some women, again, I see some women really thrive on HRT and that, they think, this is it. I found it can take a while to find the correct level that you need in the beginning. So you kind of have to ride it out a bit until you get the right level. And some women it doesn't work for at all, or they feel terrible on it. So it's a very individual thing. And I think we just have to decide ourselves what feels right for us or doesn't. But there's a lot more knowledge now about HRT, and the actual HRT that is used isn't the same as what we used, years ago. I can remember my mother, I always think about this. She was on HRT and she just was like a different woman. She said, oh, wow, this was amazing. And she was like, oh, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then the Women's Health Initiative study came out it was like the late 90s, wasn't it? We now know that it was reported wrong, but they were saying that there was a risk of breast cancer and other things. And every single medical practitioner basically said, right, you have to stop taking it. So she was told she had to stop taking it, and she was really upset. But that HRT was made from the urine of pregnant mares, pregnant horses.
God, sounds dreadful.
Whereas the ones that we use now is made from yams, the root fruit, like sweet potatoes, but it's not sweet, it's yams. So there's a big difference in what we're actually using.
Well, it's great that science has moved on.
Exactly.
You're into yams. I think I'd rather have yams. But of course, all of this is then going to have a knock-on effect to your skin and stuff. Something recently I watched, I can't remember, it was a while ago, and everyone was going on about castor oil and rubbing this castor oil in. And I'm thinking, castor oil. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I know it was interesting when I launched my book in August last year. And you look on the book and the book sales, there were loads of books about castor oil. You could see it. And I was like, castor oil? It was some, the only thing that I can remember, I think going back to my mother again, or my grandmother, that it was good to take for, if you're constipated.
Yeah, they'd always give you a spoonful of castor oil.
Yeah. But apparently, I haven't never applied castor oil to my face.
Yeah.
It has benefits for the skin. It's not something that I see really in the aesthetic world that salons or clinics use, but who knows? It's a natural product, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what the research is on that and how it affects the skin, but yeah.
Let's go on a little bit deeper onto the skin, because obviously we all want to have firmer, tighter skin and look more youthful, which I always think, well, if you're drinking lots of water and you're eating healthy, that's a natural way to make your skin glow and look better. But is there anything that you find that's coming about now that science is producing that could be really helpful to women in managing the skin problems they might be struggling with?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on the skin during menopause. Again, we need our hormones for the integrity of the skin, and we lose collagen. There's a decline. It's up to 30. You can lose up to 30% of collagen in the first 5 years of menopause.
Wow,
so you can start to see, fine lines on the face. And also another thing that I think a lot of women, funny enough, I was having a discussion the other day about this, is that your lips, when you're younger, you have kind of more fuller lips. Your lips become smaller due to, the decline in collagen. A lot of women have spoken to me about that. Yeah, what can you do? You need to look after your skin, obviously. The basics are that you need to think about a good skin routine at home, that you're applying products that actually have ingredients in that will do something to your skin, using a good cleanser, using a good eye makeup remover, not just removing your makeup with soap and water, because it just affects the pH of the skin and is very drying for the skin. Ingredients. Retinol is a lovely ingredient, can really help with cell, renewal of cells. It also has an anti-aging effect on the skin. Word of warning though, if you're not used to using retinol, do it every other day, because it takes a while for your skin to get used to it, and put it on at night. It's not something that you should wear in the day in the sun. But that's a great ingredient. There's some nice products that have retinol in, but you need moisture.
Yeah.
And you need to protect your skin from the sun. It's very important to use a good SPF, at least 30. Some day creams, some good quality day creams now do have sun protection factor in, but you should be putting a sun protection factor on your face every day of the year, even in the winter, because the damage that we do to our skin from ultraviolet rays is really what causes the majority of aging on the skin. As far as collagen goes, it's quite interesting with collagen supplements. There's also been a lot, hasn't there, in the press and everything about collagen supplements, and there is actually research on that. But I think the stronger research is on how it affects like joints, because collagen isn't just in the skin, it's in our joints and everything as well, that it can help with that. So yeah, taking a collagen supplement can be beneficial. I've seen that absolutely help people that have had problems with their skin. Protecting your skin and good moisture, a good day and a good night cream, an eye cream, around this area. Don't use your normal moisturizer. It's too rich. It can make your eyes go puffy. And then this area, neck and your décolletage area, we tend to forget about, don't we? Apply your product there, but a good neck cream as well can be really beneficial.
And is it better to sort of look for more natural products as well? Because one would assume, well, we need to go as natural as possible. That's something, particularly like with my hair care, I've always looked for as natural as they can be.
Yeah, natural's good, but if you need to have active ingredients in a product for it to really, if you're focusing on like anti-aging. But yeah, if you can find products that the less kind of chemicals and unnecessary ingredients, preservatives and all of those things, yeah, absolutely. I would advise people to talk to a professional, esthetician, beauty therapist, somebody that knows that they can recommend you what your skin type actually needs.
I always look at beauty products. I'm always trying to see, do they have a lot of parabens in them? Do they have a lot of silicones in them and all these preservatives that they're absolutely packed with? A lot of products are packed with these things, and I always try and avoid them if I can. But is that the right thing to do? Or do we need to be worried about these things in our beauty care products?
Absolutely, because when everything you put on your skin is absorbed, you don't want to be putting things onto your skin that has a lot of parabens and chemicals and unnecessary ingredients in there. So yeah, absolutely. I would always look for products of good quality.
Yeah.
That don't have all these unnecessary things in them, because your skin is part of your body. It's the largest organ in the body, and that it will absorb in these chemicals and things that you don't want.
Yeah. And do you always need to go for the most expensive products? Obviously, not everyone wants to or can afford to buy the sort of top products that are out there. But are there things that people need to be looking at, or that are just, in Boots or whatever, that would be actually not too bad? You could actually use them quite safely.
Yeah, you don't need to go for the most expensive products. And no, I think some products on the market, it's just ridiculous what they cost, and it's they're good. Some of them are, but it's very much about the packaging and the whole kind of image thing of it.
Yeah.
Whereas you can go into your pharmacy and find good products there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't believe that you need to buy the most expensive products to get a good quality product. No.
Yeah, because you don't want to take out a mortgage on your beauty product.
Absolutely not.
Nice to have, but you don't want to go buy
exactly
a beauty product. I mean, the other thing, actually, if I wouldn't mind touching on, and it's a problem I think for a lot of women, is low libido. Now, I know this is a different subject, but I just wonder, when it comes to sort of nutrition and menopause nutrition and care, is there anything that we can be doing that can make that change, or is it purely just you have to look at something like HRT? Because that is something that I think a lot of women struggle with, particularly if they're married, they're in a long-term relationship and stuff. What can I be doing? What can I be doing better in my lifestyle and my self-care that maybe could decrease that effect?
The nutrition actually plays quite a big part in that, because if you're eating a diet that has a lot of sugar in, a lot of refined carbohydrates, it can make you feel very lethargic. It can make you feel very tired. You've got these blood sugar highs and lows going on, which just, they don't make you feel at all like you want to be intimate. You can also feel like a lot of women suffer from being bloated. Menopause can affect the digestion. It can affect the bowel area as well. And, if you're bloated and you're feeling exhausted, it's not surprising your libido is low, really, is it? It doesn't make you feel
feel sexy.
Oh, no, not in the slightest. So thinking about, again, going back to eating foods that nourish you, things like omega-3 fatty acids is very good, because what also happens, amongst many other things, is your mucous membrane can become drier because of the lack of estrogen. Things like, your mouth, your nose, your eyes, your vagina, and this dryness can be a problem, particularly if you want to be intimate. A very interesting product called sea buckthorn, it's actually an oil, has been shown to be very helpful to keep mucous membranes hydrated. But in saying that, vaginal estrogen, like the cream that you can use, is very safe to use. And studies have just come out saying that it's even safe for people to use, that have had breast cancer and, hormone related cancers, because it isn't systemic. It doesn't go out into your system. So for anybody that is suffering from, vaginal dryness, painful intercourse, it's amazing. This cream you can just use it and it helps. It's one of those things that actually does make a difference. So, ask your doctor about that. It's very easy to get hold of.
So is the first place really someone should be going, even before they come to someone yourself, is to go to your doctor first? Or could they potentially come to someone like yourself first of all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the holistic side of things. I tend to, depending on the client, I would always recommend that the client talk to their doctor, but some women just don't want to go down the hormonal route and they've already decided that. But I would always, if you're really suffering, then I would always recommend that somebody talks to their doctor just to get things looked at, and checked out. But, it's an individual choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can do so much with lifestyle and with nutrition.
Yeah, I always think that is the first place to start with. Look at your lifestyle, look at changing what you're eating, what you're putting on your skin, everything, what you're putting into your body first of all, and then obviously your outer environment, how are your stress levels, what can you change, what can you get rid of that are affecting you psychologically and emotionally as well. So there's lots you can do. But again, it's it's doing the research and having more than one opinion. You could have your doctor's opinion, but then you can come to someone like yourself and get their perspective as well, which is really important. And I do wonder if now we're more aware as a society of menopause, even if there's any younger viewers watching, it's something you can start thinking about now, and what can I change in my life now in my 20s and 30s that can make a massive difference to how I experience menopause? Because we're all going to go through it. We're not going to be able to get away.
Yes, exactly. That's it. It's every single woman will go through it, won't they?
Yeah.
But it's funny you say that. Though one of the chapters in my book is what I wish I'd known about menopause when I was in my 30s, and it was kind of a chapter I wrote I wrote it and then thought, no, this book's getting too big. I'm not going to put it in. But my publisher said, no, that's brilliant. So it did actually go in the book, and it's talking exactly about what you were saying, that how you look after yourself and how the health that you're in when you start going into menopause, perimenopause, can affect the way that you experience it. Looking after yourself, and having that awareness of what perimenopause and menopause is when you're younger, it's really beneficial.
Yeah, I really hope that sort of more women talk to their daughters about it and are just more open about it. But it was great you just spoke about your books, because I want to get onto your books, because I know you've released a new one, the Meno Massage Method, which I really want to find out more about that. So share with us a little bit about these books that you have.
Yeah, so the book that I wrote called Have a Magnificent Menopause, a straightforward guide to looking good and feeling great. That is a book on, basically gives you, all my experience, 35 years experience of working in women's health. And it covers everything. I mean, it's actually a beneficial book for every woman, because it's got the nutrition, it's got sleep, it's got mindset, exercise. It's a very complicated is not the right word, a complete book with everything in it. And when I started writing it, I did a bit of research and was asking women what they wanted. And all of them said, just tell me what to do. Like, don't give me all this like massive amounts of academic information, because my brain can't cope with it. I just want you to tell me what to do. And that's what it is, basically. It's written in a way that is easy to understand, very, very actionable, and loads of information about what you should, you need to do.
Yeah.
So that's that book. And then the Meno Massage Method, this actually is a training method. So it's not a book as such. It's a training program for estheticians, for beauty therapists, for massage therapists, where they can train in this method to use in their clinics and their spas and their businesses, to work on women that are going through the menopause, to help them regulate their nervous system, to help them regulate menopausal symptoms, and just to give them that. It's like giving I liken it to like giving the client a big hug, really just saying, okay, now we're going to do this treatment on you. You're going to lie here for 90 minutes and just relax. And it really is a very relaxing treatment, but there's a lot of research gone into the movements and why we do these things in the treatment.
Yeah.
And that is something that I launched quite recently. So I'm in the process of having training courses. So then establishments will be doing it, and women can then obviously book in and have these treatments.
Well, that is a thing you touched on it there, so nervous system regulation, because that's another thing that's coming out. I see a lot now online and in research and stuff, how important that is, because obviously your nervous system is doing somersaults when you're going through pause a little bit, and all the different ways that you need to be able to regulate that to avoid things like your anxiety, your stress, and everything feeling like it's on edge.
Yeah, it's that fight and flight. Your body, estrogen has a very calming effect. It's like has a calming, regulating effect on the nervous system. And when you haven't got any estrogen left, or when that's it, you're in menopause, your ovarian function has stopped. That regulating effect and calming effect on your nervous system isn't there like it used to be. So you find you're kind of, I find that myself, and I'm obviously very aware of it, that you feel like you get all like wired and tired, and it's very hard your shoulders are up here and you can't switch off. And it's all down to that nervous system and not being regulated in the same way. It makes your nervous system more sensitive, more reactive, and you can become, a lot of women really suffer from anxiety that never did before.
Yeah.
Poor sleep, heart palpitations, brain fog, not being able to remember things, overwhelm and temperature regulation and hot flash. All of that is nervous system coming in there. So it's having this Meno massage method. It is a few different massages. It's just there to really help regulate and give that person time to just switch off and get back into the relaxed parasympathetic state.
Yeah. And I think this is the key. I think that certainly the thing that's come out from this conversation for me is we tend to think of menopause as just being about hormones, but the body isn't just one thing. It's a whole ecosystem. It's taking part, each of these things. Your hormones are just one part of it. The other part is your lifestyle, your nutrition, the things you put in your body, the things you put on your body, and obviously your greater environment. So what's going on in your personal life, your work life, how are those affecting you? It's kind of looking at an emotional, psychological, physical, spiritual, social ecosystem that you have to sort of manage. And this is why doing the research is really important, so it doesn't become even more overwhelming and then make you even more anxious.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that you really need to look at from all different angles. And also you need to be kind to yourself and allow yourself that extra time and, tell people what you're going through. That's actually another chapter in my book, which I was asked to write about how do I talk to my partner, family members, friends about this? Because a lot of the time people think, what's the matter with her now? Oh, she's always tired, or what's wrong with her? And it can be awful. It's approaching those subjects with, your people around you so they can understand what you're going through and actually support you through it.
Yeah. So look, if people were sort of coming to you now as a client, what would be your process? Because I want to give people a bit of an understanding of what it would like if they're lucky enough to be a client of yours, how you would handle someone coming to you in terms of your process that you would go through.
Sure. So like I said, I work individually and group programs. So with my one-to-one clients, first of all, I have a conversation with you on the phone just to really make sure that I am the right person to help you, because it obviously depends on your goals and everything. So we have that conversation. And then if we're both in agreement that it sounds good and we want to work together, I then ask you very kindly to basically, I need to get as much information as possible about your health history, because working with the functional medicine model, which is where you really look at the whole person, it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. You really get to the root causes of why you may be feeling like you're feeling. So I ask you to fill in some health questionnaires, and then in the first consultation I really gather more information and really find out as much as I can about you, and then we discuss a way forward, a plan, a nutritional plan, a lifestyle plan, and then we discuss putting that in place. But the main thing for me is to give people support, because it's all very well giving people advice and saying, okay, we can start with this, we can start with that, but actually doing it is what a lot of people have a problem with. So I very much stay in contact with you. After that first consultation, we then have another consultation a week later, and we talk about how it's gone in that week. Did that work? Didn't that work? Because it has to fit into your lifestyle. It has to be realistic, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And then really just monitoring the situation and how you're feeling on an ongoing process. There's different ways that you can work with me depending on how much support that you feel that you need. I mean, I have had clients that have worked with me for 6 months, over a year, and maybe it's just a client that needs a couple of consultations and then they feel that they've got the information that they need and they can move forward. I do testing if that is something that I feel is necessary. It could be to look for deficiencies. It could be a stool test, which is fantastic. The information you get from a stool test on the microbiome and parasites, etc. So that is something that I do work with as well, depending, on the client. But it's an ongoing process, working with adjusting nutritionally, maybe supplements as well, looking at introducing lifestyle, changing habits, all of those things, and really supporting you through this process.
Yeah. And what sort of transformations have you seen in some of your clients that have gone through this process with you?
Yeah, I mean, I just love what I do because it's so rewarding being able to help people. And there's so many clients that have come to me and said, wow, I just feel like a different person. If we take one client in particular, a lady came to me that was, funny enough, we were talking about hair loss earlier. She was losing hair. She'd put on quite a lot of weight. She just felt terrible with energy, etc. And we worked together for, I think it was 5 months. I still have, this was quite a few years ago now, but I still see her regularly, like twice a year now. We have consultation just to check in. And she started, she had a diet where she was eating quite a lot of refined processed foods. So we very gradually moved her over to eating things that she could make herself at home, but were very easy. I remember she loved one pan dinners. That was her thing. She didn't really like cooking. But when I said, okay, well, you just need to chop some vegetables up in a pan, put a piece of fish, then put it in the oven and wait 20 minutes. And she was like, I can do that. And then it was so lovely to see, because when she realized she could do that, cooking and skills in the kitchen, all of a sudden she said, you know what, I actually really like cooking now.
Yeah.
And she's like a different person now. And she threw out everything in her kitchen that was, like processed salad dressings and mayonnaise and all of these things that had lots of ingredients. She threw them all out. And she really is like a different person today. Her hair, she actually had quite a bad iron deficiency when we did some testing, which can be one of the factors in hair loss. And we got some iron supplements, and her hair is fine now. Her hair's fine now, and she's lost loads of weight, and she just feels fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's a process. It's not, there isn't, it takes time and it takes effort, but you really can improve your health considerably.
But it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's really worth it. It's a lifestyle change, isn't it?
Yeah. And there are rewards for you moving forward. And then once you get over your menopause, you can just really enjoy life so much more as well, because you've just built this new healthier you. So it's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, post-menopause, which isn't really spoken about very much all the time. After menopause, it's many years, isn't it? Something could be up to 30 years. It's a new phase of life, which I think is marvelous, because you feel very, it's that being very content with yourself and not really caring what anybody thinks anymore, and just doing exactly what you want to do. I think it's actually very nice.
Well, I think that this is it. Maybe we need to look at it, like I say, as more of an opportunity to reboot our lives, reboot ourselves, and sort of start again and come out as this new version of who you are.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So Alison, if people want to get in touch with you, find out a little bit more about you, or get hold of one of your books, where should they go?
Yeah, the best place really to find out more about me is my website. That is alisonbladh.com. You can find everything on there. There's also on the website, there's a page called book, where if you click on that, you can get my book. My book is available on Amazon, so you can just find it, on Amazon there. And I'm on all social media. If you just put in Alison Bladh, you'll find me on most things. I'm quite easy to find, because I've got quite an unusual name. No, it's a pleasure. Anybody that would like to get in touch, has any questions, please, do feel free to contact me on social media, or email me, or you can find all my details on my website.
Just start doing your research now. It will pay dividends for you moving forward. Look, Alison, it was lovely to have you with me today. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I've certainly learned so much, and things to take away, and something maybe I may need to make some changes. But thank you for joining me, and thank you for everyone who has tuned in today. And we'll look forward to seeing you here next time on Unleash Your Inner Athlete. Thank you.